What's up, guys? Rick here with your betting preview for this week's Houston Open. I'm going to take you through the outrights board. We'll look at some potential matchups. We'll see what the tournament predictor says for this week and much, much more. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into the odds board. All right, here we go. This grid via Odds Checker allows you to kind of easily go through and see what the best available numbers are now that more people have the ability to shop numbers. You should take advantage of that. So no surprise that Scottie Scheffler is the favorite. Maybe a little bit of a surprise of how much shorter he is than everyone else. 6-1 is the best number that you can get on Scottie Scheffler at the moment, with Sam Burns checking in at 14-1. Over 2 times the implied win odds for this week. Sam Burns to Scottie Scheffler. If you've been following along, I'm quite bullish on Scottie Scheffler, right? I mean, the stuff that we are getting from tee to green is magnificent. He switched back to the blade style putter that he used so effectively for the vast majority of 2022. He switched back to that on Saturday and Sunday last week. He flies up the leaderboard. He ends up finishing T3. So I don't necessarily make a habit of betting these guys who are 6-1, although they seem to be winning much more frequently. But I completely understand the odds here. When we look at the tournament predictor, and this is kind of why this is an issue and why I miss out on these 5.5 or 6-1 winners. So this tool on RickRunGood.com, it simulates the event 1,000 times, and then it compares those results to the outright board to see if there is any value. Scottie Scheffler won my simulation 13% of the time. That is huge. It is rare for a golfer to get up in a full field event, get up over 10, get into the double digits of win equity in my simulation. Even still, it's not really bettable, right? 6-1, that implies he's going to win, 14% of the time? So I've got him winning at 13.3. BetMGM, which is probably one of the best spots you can get the numbers available, is 6-1. It's like 14.5%. So we're missing something, right? We have a gap here. And when you do this week in and week out, I care about those gaps. I probably care about those gaps more than anybody. Now, if you don't care about that and you just want to bet the guy who, I'll admit it, at 6-1 or 7-1, 6.5-1, something like that, it's close. It's fair enough. If you just want to bet the guy who is most likely to win the golf tournament, have at it. I'm probably just not going to be a part of that. The biggest gaps in our favor on the tournament predictor come from just a little bit further down the board. Taylor Montgomery, Hideki Matsuyama, Jason Day, Denny McCarthy. Those are kind of the upper echelon golfers that have a lot of value, right? So you can get Taylor Montgomery anywhere from 20-1 to 28-1. He had won my simulation 7.5% of the time, which is pretty nuts, right? For a guy who has just been piling up top 15 finishes for 10 starts in a row now. The one that really has my attention here is probably Denny McCarthy. And I want to check this real quick because I'll go back to the grid here. Denny McCarthy, yeah, you can get him as long as 40-1 in some places, 33 to 40-1. Denny McCarthy, for this golf course, Memorial Park, what do we know about it? We know that short game has been so closely correlated to success over the years, and that is kind of an outlier compared to the other courses on the PGA Tour. And Denny McCarthy's short game is stout, specifically his putter. He's probably the best putter in the world over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. And it shouldn't be much of a surprise that he's had a decent run here in Houston, right? I mean, you're looking at the results. T11 last year, T38, T9, T43. Not all of those were at Memorial Park, but he's just a constant gainer. And the last time we saw him was in Bermuda, where he finished inside the top 10 there. He finished T6. So this is the one I'm pretty excited about. Denny McCarthy at 40-1. If you can find that, the simulator loved it as well. He won it 5.1% of the time, which if you can get it even anything over 30-1, right? I mean, it's a pretty significant value there. So interested to see if Denny McCarthy can break through here. I do just want to correct a mistake that I made earlier in the week. I said that this event has been played at Memorial Park for 3 years. It's only 2. That's on me. My bad. My brain melted when they moved the event from before the Masters to the fall, and then the fact that it was played in the fall portion of the schedule. I got my years and my seasons mixed up. So that's on me. I apologize. I do make mistakes from time to time. So just 2 years at Memorial Park. So if we look at the guys that have played the best at Memorial Park when they've played both years, I mean, the two favorites are near the top here, right? Sam Burns, 8 rounds, 2.25 strokes gained per round. Scotty Scheffler, 8 rounds, 1.88. Those are your two favorites. Then you throw in guys like Adam Long and Russell Henley and Aaron Wise, 1.63. So I did want to correct that as we continue to look over the rest of this board. It really pains me to probably not be able to bet Aaron Wise. Right. I mean, I don't know. This is kind of a very sticky situation for someone who, like, specifically to me. This might not be a sticky situation to you. I bet Aaron Wise a lot. In fact, last year he was probably, or this year, 2022, he was probably my most bet golfer. If he wins at 18-1 for me, I won't even break even on Aaron Wise. Should I care about that? Should I try to get 75% of my bet back? Or should I wait? If I'm such a believer in Aaron Wise, should I wait for an event where he is 35, 40, 45-1 and bet him there? This is a pickle for me. I love Aaron Wise. I understand his success at Memorial Park. I understand that he's trending in the right direction. I might just find other ways to invest in him, whether that is finishing position markets, whether it is matchup markets, which we'll get to in a second, whether it's even Jock market. I'm sure he's been crushing it in the Jock market. Actually, let me look that up. Yeah, here he is. This is stock market DFS. His last 20 cash markets, he's won in 13 of them with an average ROI of 27%. Yeah, so this is probably my path to getting Aaron Wise. There's a link in the description. You can use the code Rick, get your deposit bonus if you want to play stock market DFS. I'm probably going to go this route. If you have not been betting Aaron Wise over the course of the last year, and you feel comfortable betting him here, and if he wins, you're gonna be in the green. Go for it. I just don't think personally I can necessarily get there. So the rest of this board, kind of interesting, right? The model loved Jason Day. The model loved Taylor Montgomery. The model loved Denny McCarthy. Let's talk about Jason Day for a little bit, because I don't think people realize how good he was for the final 3 rounds last week. He was like 2 over on Thursday and probably should have missed the cut. He battles back, shoots great rounds on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, ends up finishing T21 in Mayakoba. And now we've got a stretch of golf where his last 3 starts, he's gained like 22 strokes to the field. That's really stellar stuff. We don't have the strokes gained breakdown from Mayakoba, but let's assume, I think it's pretty safe to assume, he gained strokes on approach again, which would, in theory, make 8 in a row. So this is a stat profile that continues to be exciting. It was exciting last week in Mayakoba. We just got to get 4 rounds out of him to cash that outright. The other thing I want to look at here are his just this season. Yeah, okay. So this is a short season here, but we don't have a lot of there's been a lot of events without the strokes gain metric. So I'm just kind of looking at the more basic stats here. Scrambling, Jason Day's 45th. Okay, so in this field, he's probably, 20th, maybe even better than that. Putts per round, 166. Putting average, 132nd. Strokes gained, putting, 108. So he's not putting particularly well. But the greens and regulation metrics, the strokes gained approach metrics, they're all there. His accuracy is 26th on tour. That's all there. So all we're asking, and this is kind of a funny thing to ask, Jason Day to give us 4 rounds and to putt well. Jason Day, right? Like, if I look at the last, 500 rounds, like, Jason Day might be one of the best putters out here, right? So I'm not sure that's like a huge ask for this version of Jason Day to find a little putting magic. I like this. I think Jason Day's investable. As we scroll a little bit further, Matthew Neesmith's going to get my money. We haven't seen him play in a couple weeks. He's got 3 straight top 10s coming into this. His odds, best available on the grid, 50-1, as short as 40-1 in some places. He's going to get my money. I don't even think this is a great spot for him. I think there's going to be a lot better spots on the PGA Tour schedule for him, but we are talking about a guy that, again, 3 straight top 10s. One of them was, the Zozo, right? I mean, just much better fields, who's playing well, feeling himself. In theory, one of the best approach players in this field. I think that's worth a click. I've been waiting 3 weeks to bet him. I'm going to bet him here. Outside of that, Andrew Putnam tends to model very well. And so does Mac Hughes, and they're both 66-1 on the grid. Mac Hughes as short as 50. Actually, Andrew Putnam as short as 52. Let me go through a couple of these guys real quick. So they're somewhat similar, right? They're kind of these short game specialists. Andrew Putnam loses a ton of strokes off the tee, but he loses it because of distance. If you're playing out of the fairway, I think that's well worth it. Runner-up finished at the Zozo Championship. His approach play has been much better, and he's just a short game wizard, right? So these areas around the greens at Memorial Park, they are... they removed a lot of bunkers. It's going to be short grass around these, but you're going to need to be stout, right? The model, the course key stats model, this is one of the highest rated strokes gained around the green weeks that you can get. It's one of the highest rated strokes gained putting weeks that you can get in terms of correlation to success. And that is exactly what Andrew Putnam is doing. The rest of his game is strong enough to get around Memorial Park. And then Mackenzie Hughes is kind of similar, right? He hasn't played a lot. He's only played 3 times this year. It's been a great start. It's 3 top 25 finishes, including a win. And then he backed up the win with a T23 at the Zozo Championship, in which would have been very easy to celebrate a win, kind of get lost in focus, have to travel from Jackson to Tokyo, and play a much more difficult field and not really play all that well. T23, I'm okay with that. That's fine. And now we haven't seen him play since then, so it's been 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. What does he do? Short game wizard. Obviously, high upside. He won the Sanderson Farms. I do worry that he sprays it off the tee a little more than I would like, but if there, there was a comment on YouTube about this where someone said, "Are you concerned about his accuracy off the tee?" I'm like, yeah, of course I am. But if I wasn't, if there were no concerns, he'd be like 18-1. He's 50-1 or 66-1, I think is what the grid had him at 66-1. So that's fair to me. I probably start drawing the line around this area. You could argue Alex Smalley at 80-1, who has been great on difficult golf courses. You could argue Harris English, who has a huge discrepancy in odds between 55 and 80-1, and trying to catch Harris English early. You could also argue Will Gordon, same discrepancy, 50-1 at DraftKings, 80-1 in other places, that he's playing well and he's bet. You could argue these guys. If you want to bet these guys, that is fine. I will probably not end up getting there. My card will likely look like, so it'll probably be focused kind of here, this Jason Day, Taylor Montgomery, Denny McCarthy range, Matthew Neesmith, Andrew Putnam, Mac Hughes. I probably can't bet all of those guys, so I'm probably going to have to decide between maybe I can if I can get McCarthy at 40. If I can get McCarthy at 40, I might be able to get a 28 Jason Day, a 28 Montgomery, a 40 McCarthy, a 50 Neesmith. So that's 4. And then 2 66s, a Putnam and a Hughes. That might work for me. And then that's just it, right? Which probably doesn't allow me to go, I would probably have to go into the triple digits after that with the way that I kind of build out my cards. But if I had those 6, I would probably be pretty comfortable, but it'll depend on the numbers that I'm able to get. Talk about the matchup market here for a second. Guys like Aaron Wise, guys like Tony Finau, unfortunately, they're going up against each other on DraftKings. I think those are investable guys. The miscut from Tony Finau last week does not bother me one single bit. The 4 penalty shots, missing the cut on the number, everybody kind of like, forget this guy. I mean, even his outright odds, I think at 18-1, is that what the best number available on Tony? Let's see. Yeah, 18-1, like, this guy's won twice in his last 8 starts, and he's the same price as Aaron Wise. Like, does that feel a little bit hairy to you? So I like both of those guys, but probably not in a. They're playing against each other here on DraftKings. So if I can get exposure to Finau, if I can get exposure to Wise in the head-to-head market, that's interesting. This one here stood out to me. Harris English -120 over Beau Hossler. I plugged it into the head-to-head matchup tool on RickRunGood.com, and I only went to the last 24 rounds because this is I wanted to give Harris English credit for playing better recently, right? 100 rounds, I think, actually hurts Harris English. So I wanted to kind of give him credit for playing better. And still, I have Beau Hossler as the favorite in this matchup. 55% of the time does he win it. He's plus 100 on DraftKings. Also, the other thing that stands out to me is Beau Hossler is gaining strokes to the field more frequently than Harris English, pretty significantly. He's gaining 1 or more strokes to Harris English to the field much more significant, much more frequently than Harris English is. And he's gaining 2 strokes or more to the field much more frequently than Harris English is. Harris English is getting him on 4 and 5 strokes, but that's kind of the ceiling stuff. I don't necessarily care as much about that. I kind of care about this lower range here, the floor range. So that to me looks like that number is off. So Hostler over Harris English has my attention. Let me see what else I can find. I will say this, Bet365 has a Scotty Scheffler versus Sam Burns, minus 170, plus 137. Burns is obviously the dog. I don't really have a take on this, and I think when I put it into the tool, like I think it's fine. I don't think Scotty should be that big of a favorite, but there's obviously juice involved and all that stuff. But I want books to do this more, right? It's rare. It feels like every line that they roll out is like minus 120, maybe you get a minus 130. Just like do it. Just give me Scotty Scheffler at minus 170, or give me like, if there's really that big of a gap between golfers, make it minus 250, right? Like let's get a little more. Like, there's not enough variety in a lot of these lines. So I'm actually, I don't have an interest in that bet, but I'm appreciative that Bet365 has hung a minus 170, which is not a number you see a lot. All right, so look at this one. Davis Riley has not been particularly good as of late, more recently. So this is 24 rounds. Taylor Pendrith has been much better. I have Taylor Pendrith winning a 4-round matchup using the data from the last 24 rounds 72% of the time. It's massive. It's basically like the highest number you can get. He is that matchup is available on DraftKings right now at Davis Riley being the favorite, minus 120. Taylor Pendrith plus 100. That is just a huge discrepancy. Now, I bet if I go back a little bit further, Riley can improve this. Let's just see. Although, I mean, Pendrith's been on a good run. He hasn't played a lot because he had that rib injury. But let's go back to 36 rounds. Still, that's actually more in favor of Taylor Pendrith. How about 50 rounds? We got to get to that. I mean, Davis Riley, he had that stretch of golf where he was splendid. 50 rounds, yeah, it's getting a little closer. 62% in favor of Pendrith. What about 100 rounds, which should be... all right, that's closer. 55% to Pendrith. But either way, basically, however you slice this, Taylor Pendrith is the favorite. And that is not the case on DraftKings. Davis Riley is the favorite. So I'd be betting, if you have access to this number, the Pendrith side of things. Oh, look at that. Scotty Scheffler minus 180 to Sam Burns on DraftKings. Good for you guys. Yeah, hang more of those. Get us into like the 200 range as well. Okay, let's keep rolling here. We'll do props and we'll do one and done. Okay, the golf props are not available on PrizePicks yet, but I will take this opportunity to shamelessly plug my other like pet project website that I run called RunGoodProps.com, it's just like this automated dashboard, right? It's just a really simple, valuable tool. It's this automated dashboard that brings over the lines from PrizePicks and everywhere else, and it compares it to the lines at DraftKings and Pinnacle, and it finds the best odds that are available. And then it allows you to kind of click on each one and build these prop entries. So for example, I'm obviously not a football guy. I'm not a really anything guy, but like the 2 lines for Thursday Night Football, Mariota's passing yards are lower on DraftKings than they are lower on PrizePicks than they are on DraftKings. So by 5 yards, Mariota's passing prop is lower. And then Cordero Patterson's rushing prop is 2 yards lower, and that side was already the favorite anyway. So basically the way this works is you click through and you see, okay, 2 overs on those guys. We calculate the implied probability with the lines being different, and you're going to win this prop. You're only going to win the prop 39% of the time, right? Because you got to hit both of them. But when you win it, you're going to get your average ROI, your expected return is actually basically $16 of profit for every 100 that you wager, right? So that's how this works. And then you can add more of this. You can add the some of the NHL lines, or the NBA lines will be out soon. Those will flow in here, but I don't know. Really interesting tool. It's all data based. So obviously I love it, and it's a very cool little dashboard. So as more props come out, you'll be able to use that. RunGoodProps.com. Okay, let's go to the one and done here. So this is kind of an interesting situation. Scotty Scheffler, site-wide on OfficeFootballPool.com, is going to be about 14% owned. Aaron Wise, 12%. Sam Burns, 11.9%, which is the shortest, or the most owned golfers here for this week's Houston Open. this is the argument, right? Scotty Scheffler is 5.5, 6 to 1 to win. Is he going to have any other time this year where he is that short? Probably not. Maybe when we go to Texas next year and just him and Jordan Spieth go to Byron Nelson, for example, while all the other top players have congregated on, these 20 specific events, and Scheffler and Spieth go to Byron Nelson, and now they're the only two guys there. Maybe. But you have to look at this from an expected value perspective, right? So let's say, can you guys see my calculator? Yeah, okay. Let's say Scotty Scheffler is 14% to win this event. So 14% of the time, he's going to win the 1.5 million. It's a very simple calculation because it's only taking into account the outrights, the winning. That's worth 210,000. Okay, so when he goes to the Players, which is probably going to be the biggest purse, like 2.7 million, right? It might be more this year, but let's call it 2.7 million. And he is, 6% to win that? Is that even generous? You're going to get all the best players in the world? That's $162,000 of expected value. Let's say he's 8%. That would basically be 216,000. So that would be close, but it'd be a small edge to the Players Championship, $216,000 of expected value, or this event at $210,000 of expected value. So there is kind of a pretty decent argument to be made that you should just use Scotty Scheffler right now, right? Like I don't hate that expected value wise. Now, I don't know, are they, if they're upping the Players purse? Let me just look real quick if it's out yet. Yeah. Okay. So Cam Smith was 3.6 last year, so that's a ton. So now it's only, he's like, well, he still has to be 4% of 3.6 million is only 144. 3.6 million and 6%. Yeah. Is he 6% to win? Is he going to be 6% to win the Players Championship? So is he going to be like 16 to 1? Which he'll probably be shorter, but is that his real odds of winning it? That's what sports books are gonna lay on him. So it becomes a little bit stickier. I still don't mind using Scotty Scheffler here. I think we're doing a lot of assuming and making a lot of assumptions, but that's the calculation, right? What's the expected value for all of these guys? The natural thought process is to save your guys for the biggest events, but they don't have the most win equity in those events. They don't. So after them, so who else would I be thinking here? So you've got the kind of the big boys at the top. I'll tell you what, I used Tony Finau in the run and done last week. I would use him again, right? Like if I had him available, I would use him again. I would consider using, I will likely use Aaron Wise here. I'll just tell you. So I'm narrowing it down to Aaron Wise, Denny McCarthy, and Scotty Scheffler. That is the way that I would do. So I need to decide whether or not I'm willing to use Scotty here. If I'm not willing to use Scotty, I think using Aaron Wise, if I'm probably not going to bet him as an outright, if I'm probably going to get access to him in the outright market and I'm going to get access to him in the Jock market, to use him as a one and done option feels fine to me. I would consider Denny McCarthy. I'm getting, a 3% owned Denny McCarthy, who I think is high upside, on the verge of breaking out, probably one of the better setups for him, at least statistically wise. So those are the three I've got it narrowed down to. Obviously, you've got to find what is best for you. Okay, live chat 3 p.m. Eastern time on the Rick Run Good channel, YouTube channel on Wednesday. And I think that'll do it. Best of luck this week. I'll talk to you guys soon.